Time for part one of my interview with reigning Yukon Quest champions Hugh Neff and his dog Walter. My first question is about this guy here. What makes Walter such a good lead dog?
It's like we tell people, it's all about heart, and Walter's got a lot of heart. He's a tough dog. He's done 8,000 milers. He's an 8-year-old, and he's the reason we won the race. He just leaving Braeburn. He didn't even look back at me. He was just on a roll, and he's the reason that we're here today. And named him after Walter Payton from the Chicago Bears, where I grew up. And a lot of his spirit comes from another fellow, Walter Newman, who's actually not with us anymore, but his family, Walter's meant the world to them, and they're actually going to be having a little get-together, a little powwow up in Old Crow here next month in honor of Walter, so I'm looking forward to heading up there with my buddy Josh Kadzow. And he's just an amazing dog. It's all heart, like anything in life. He's not the fastest, probably the strongest, and the thing is, he's not just a lead dog. He's a wheel dog, he's a team dog, he's everything. So he's my man.
Do you think these dogs are competitive? Do you think they're competing with one another when they're out there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Usually they're competing more actually in training when they're going at it against, their relatives, like chasing his sister around or nephews or nieces or what have you.
From the 2-hour penalty in 2009, the tragedy of losing Geronimo in 2011, penalized for getting your axe this year. Was there a time when you were serving that 36-minute penalty? Was there any self-pity?
Self-pity, I'm from Chicago. I've done 21,000-mile races since 2000, so I definitely go through a lot of anguish, and I feel sorry for people that I've had to put through some tough times, especially a lot of my family, friends, and, fans and stuff. But it's all about the dogs, really, when you get out there. And to be quite honest, man, I'd given up on the race. I figured Alan had an hour lead on me, and I just, instead of totally worrying about winning, I just wanted to have a nice smooth run that last run. 100 miles is quite a severe penalty, and it's cost me before in the past, but this year, Wally wasn't going to let that happen. And sometimes, it's like Charlie Bolden used to say, I'm the weakest link, and I think people realize that about me. I probably am. But that being said, I think a lot of my dogs are a lot smarter than a lot of people I know. So dogs often don't get the credit for what amazing animals they are, especially our dogs up here. I try to explain this to people down south. You might have dogs, we have dogs, and there's nothing like an Alaska Husky, that's for sure.
In your opinion, what makes the Yukon Quest such a good race?
It's I tell people I don't do this Yukon Quest for the race, I do it for the trail. And hats off to all the volunteers and everybody who puts the show on every year. But there's a reason we all come back, and a lot of people on Facebook might think it's because we want to race and win, but we're out there to see the sunrises, going over American Summit. Dawson City is why I sign up every year. It's a home away from home for me. But I consider the Quest to be my home trail, and I just can't not imagine myself ever doing this race. And I'm just amazed how many people might do Iditarod or some of the other big races who haven't done the Quest. And there are guys that have been around a lot longer than me, and women, and I just can't figure out why they don't do it, because it's just amazing country.
You were telling me that you're starting your own race this year. You're going to put on your own race in Tok. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's in conjunction with some Quest friends of ours from Eagle, Wayne and Scarlett Hall. It's been an idea of mine for the last few years. Mid-distance races are just as much fun as long distance, and it's good that we mix up these races and try to get them in different parts of Alaska. So we're hoping to do a race this year called the Top of the World 300. It's going to go from Tok to the village of Eagle down the Taylor Highway, and then back to Tok. We're going to have maybe a little extended layover in Eagle and have a good little bonfire, maybe have a band or something, really celebrate the lifestyle as much as race. And we're going to dedicate it to, unfortunately, Isaac Junaby passed away, the chief there recently, and we want to dedicate it to his spirit and just the spirit of that whole area of Alaska. I love chicken, and I love going over American Summit, and it's going to be a great race because it's going to be fairly safe right on going down the unplowed highway in the winter. So a lot of the younger mushers that might be a little bit hesitant about getting into the sport, come on out and learn from guys like myself, Brent Sass, and some of the veterans that have been around the block, and we're more than willing to share what we've learned along the way, and hopefully we can continue to get more mushers involved in the sport. So it's going to be a great race. Top of the World 300 sometime around Christmas time.
All right, well, we'll be looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a good one.
I hope you enjoyed part one of this interview. Part two coming your way tomorrow night. Stay tuned now for weather with Nikki Carvajal, which is coming up next. I'm Jamie Schwartzwald, and you're watching News 13.